Great.
All right. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting to order. The Board of Trustees of the Grand Marais Public Library on Thursday, October 26, 2023 at 5:01 p.m. Roll call and introductions. My name is Dave Mills, Cook County Commissioner and current library president.
I'm Kevin Lavore, I'm the vice president.
Sue McClone, trustee and secretary.
Sarah McManus, trustee.
And Old Limvier, trustee.
Michael Gary, City Councilor.
Nancy Jagir, trustee.
Amanda St. John, library director.
Thank you, and welcome everybody. First item is the consent agenda, which includes their agenda, minutes, and bills. Is there anything to add to the agenda? Ooh, actually, I'd like to add that maybe technology piece onto the agenda under new business, say, regarding
What was this?
audio-visual. We were just chatting before the meeting, and I thought
Okay.
it would be good for the board to be in on that discussion, so. We'll do it after the, I'm sorry?
Gonna do any updates on our 5-year or 3-year strategy plan?
Not today, I don't think.
No,
Is that-
okay,
Are they still
Unless-
compiling data?
Yeah, I haven't seen anything. Nothing's been
all right.
sent out as far as any
Yeah.
compilation or anything.
Maybe
But
we should just sort of ask at some point how that's coming.
yeah, we can certainly do that. Thank you. Well, is there anything else someone would like to change on the agenda, or anything to pull from the bills or corrections for the minutes? So I'd entertain a motion to approve all that.
I would so move.
Thank you. We have a motion. Is there support?
And I would second.
Thank you very much. Motion and support. Any further discussion? Hearing or seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. And we do not have a Friends Liaison right here right now. Any correspondence that we should share from, that you're aware of, Amanda, or anybody else?
On behalf of the Library Friends of Cook County, they have just opened up their fall grant cycle. We're asking for funding to support a winter reading program. Last year we didn't have one, and this year we want to try an all-ages bingo card game.
How fun.
So I hope to hear back from them about winter reading. We want everybody reading as much as they possibly can stand.
All right.
Great. And then that moves us right down to the director's report, Amanda.
Okay, let's see. So just to follow up, the Minnesota Library Association Conference happened. This was Erica's first time traveling to the MLA, and we both had such a fantastic time just being in community with professional people and experiencing the sessions. Former library director Steve Harson is resigning or retiring from the field, we'll say, and he received the William J. ASP Distinguished Career Award. So it's really exciting to have that tradition here for the library at Grand Marais. And we also, each of us were finding time to network with Arrowhead peers as well as state librarians. So it was really beneficial to us to be able to go have that experience.
Is there only the annual conference?
So the state does an annual conference, and from time to time you'll see us go to something called the Lake Superior Library Symposium, LSLS, and they have that down at the Catherine Library in Duluth, and it kind of serves everybody along the shore here. And then there are a couple of conferences that we haven't done yet that I would like to pursue. One of them I think is called Swirl or Whirl, and one of them is called Arsel. And that one,
Aptly
that one
named.
is for rural librarians. And I think from what I've heard from other librarians in the system, it is incredible to go to that level. And then, of course, there is a national level, which is the American Library Association Conference. And we have never been to that one, ever. So hint, hint.
Gotcha.
But for now, we've got some pretty
Very subtle.
great opportunities here on the North Shore for us.
Great. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
Programs, I wanted to let you know that on Sunday, October 15th, we hosted the conference for Cook County Local Energy Project's Clean Energy Community Event and Tour. We had 32 people come to participate, and we also had Orion DeFranco, who's a member of Senator Tina Smith's office, discuss the Inflation Reduction Act. Brett Pence talked about tax credits and rebates available to folks in Cook County, and Mike Senti demonstrated tools that he has for energy audits and also detecting radiation, radon in the homes. And then we had Chico Hathaway talking all about the library's air source heat pump installation, and the attendees got to walk around and see that. So it was very, very exciting to offer a program like that. We have implemented the faxing service at the library. People are appreciating it, and there have been no complaints or significant feedback about the cost that we're charging. I did make a little executive decision that when we get an incoming fax, we'll treat it like the cost of a print. It doesn't charge long distance to receive, is my understanding, so we're going to go ahead with that. And then a couple of things about the library building. One is that the heating issue we had in the women's restroom was fixed. So first we had a problem where it was freezing cold in there, and we had that fixed, I think, last fall. And then this time around it was like hot and wouldn't shut off even though the thermostat was set to off. It ended up being a valve, and that has been replaced, and we're all good again.
Okay.
And then the big thing that I wanted to talk about was our fluorescent, our lighting in the library. So I don't know if everybody's been there recently, but when you walk in and take a look at our library, you will maybe notice the hodgepodge of warm and cool light, because as our fluorescent light bulbs burn out, it's getting harder and harder to replace in kind. So there's this distracting mix of lighting, and then there's also lights that have been out for a very long time. The ballasts on some of the lights are burning out. We currently have 5 lighting fixtures with ballasts that need to be replaced. And I feel, given how this is affecting the ambiance of the library, that it's time to make a choice about how to proceed. We can proceed by staying with replacing ballasts and continuing to use fluorescent lighting, knowing that the results will be mixed in the library. We can upgrade to, we can retrofit the library and its existing fixtures so that they take LED lights, and then we can make choices about which warm or cool lights to put in. And we can also choose to completely replace the fixtures in the library. And then on top of that, we can choose to either do this piecemeal, like as ballasts burn out, as light bulbs need to be replaced, have little groups of library lighting fixed, or we can do it in one fell swoop with a contractor. I did bring, I'm not sure if everybody has the little slip of paper, the rectangular sheet of paper.
Why? Here's one more.
So Nancy Kelly is a member of SIMPA, which I believe is Southern Minnesota Municipal Power Agency. She's an energy services representative, and she works with us at the city to make sure that we're taking advantage of all of our tax rebates and things like that. And she came by for us and took a look at our situation and was able to do a projection that speaks to what it would look like, actual cost, and how much energy we would save, and how much we could get back in rebates in order to update the library in the ways that I'm talking to you about. So what you'll see, the first row and the second row go together. It shows you what would it look like if we retrofit and if we replace something called canned lighting. So if you walk into the library and you look at the circulation desk or the large children's library desk, above that is a drop ceiling with the circular canned lights inside. That's what this is addressing, those lights. They also are in the magazine room. Then under that, you'll see the projection to replace, to retrofit and to completely replace for the fluorescent lighting, so kind of like what you have above your head in here. I am inclined to proceed with replacing the fixtures in the can variety, and I'm looking to retrofit our fluorescent lighting. That's my gut instinct based on what we have going on in the library, what I think would work best for us. One reason to replace the fluorescent lighting, the large fixtures in the main library, would be to completely change the look and feel of the lighting in the library. I feel that the lighting fixtures that we have been really successful for us, and I've never received a complaint for anyone saying, you know, that corner over there is too dark, I can't see in the stacks. It feels like a very comfortable fit, and so I'm not getting a lot of feedback out of it. But when it comes to an actual, so my next step, friends, would be to bring in, I believe, electricians. I have a list of contractors that I can contact and get 3 different kinds of quotes for what we might do with the library. They can provide some feedback about what might work best based on their experience and what would be available for replacing as bulbs burn out and things like that. So we may not end up with the models, makes and models of bulbs and things that are projected here. And that could change kind of what we're doing. So I'm just giving you an update at this point because there's no work happening. I'm just letting you know what I'm looking at and kind of what my intentions are. I would love to hear your feedback if you have any for me.
I have a little, having replaced a bunch of fixtures with the flat panels. Can somebody put one in for you and you can look at it in some way? Is that an option? Because it's a really changed vibe.
To go from fluorescent to LED.
Yes, the light is just completely different. The installation is like 10 minutes.
Yep.
And when those burn out, you replace the whole thing. You don't replace bulbs anymore. But the light is so different. You might, or ask where you can see it.
Okay.
You don't want to look at the basement of bearskin for your idea of what it's going to look like, but it's so different.
Did you also shop for color of light?
No, we shopped for cheap because they're so darn expensive and it
Yeah.
was in the basement. But they were all about the same in these panels. And you could probably, if you're spending more and it's a bigger project, you could probably veer towards warmer light if you could. But it is bright.
Gotcha.
Does it make a difference in your experience to have, and this, I don't know if this would even be possible, but to have fewer lights because they're brighter?
I don't know, you have holes to fill in the ceiling,
Right.
so you probably
So you
can't.
can't do that.
So you put bird cages in.
Maybe. It's, these LED lights are quite intense. On the other hand, you get kind of used to, with ballasts going out and bulbs gradually going out, it's a nice steady light. You don't have any of this, the little flickering that's going on all the time with fluorescent fixtures.
Right.
I think the main thing is to get a good color, because if it's really, really blue, we replaced a light one time in our old house. It was the kitchen light, and not only did it make the food look strange because it was quite blue, I just didn't want to be in there.
Right.
We changed that out. But I think that's important because you want people to be in the library, and if it's light that is sort of repels
Yeah.
them, they're not going to stay.
And I feel like the tradition in the library has been warm light.
Yeah.
I kind of like to push for the most expensive project in that it'll save 10,000 kilowatt hours a year, and we're supposed to be going towards a more environmental and ecological push. And as our city council has said, we have a few $100,000 sitting in the bank doing nothing. So we do have the funds for it. So I mean, we wouldn't want to blind everybody or make it uncomfortable. But if there is a ray of light that works from that, works from that kind of flat panel, I think it would behoove us to do the most environmentally sound one.
Looks like
And-
the payback is pretty good, 12.6.
The
That's years,
12.6
right?
is
Yeah.
how many years it would take.
Oh,
To get your-
pay it
the
back.
return on your
Oh, I
investment.
understand, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, so no, that isn't great.
But it still would be saving $1,000 a year
Yes.
on, so that's,
And they're basing that figure on our operational hours.
yep.
And again, this is just, we don't know about the rest of it though, because you're going to talk with some people and get some real numbers, right?
Yeah.
As well.
That's the next step.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I would think, I mean, I don't know, I get a little bit, I like the idea of retrofitting as well. Like, that also makes sense to me.
Can you tell me more about what's the hybrid? How does that work? That first bulb? Or that first retrofit, the replacement?
I'll have to
Yeah.
ask Nancy to clarify that for us.
I've never heard of that with light bulbs.
Yeah.
Sounds like marketing.
Hybrid, like, like it's half.
Half of it's gas, the other half. Well, yeah, I agree. The color is such a huge factor, and I've gone through. It bugged me so much that I had to learn what am I doing wrong, what don't I like, and so your standard LED or just whatever, LED I guess is I think 3,000 Kelvin. That's how they measure it, is in Kelvin. The higher the number, the more like daylight it is. So 5,000 Kelvin is considered daylight, 3,000 Kelvin is or white light, and 3,000 Kelvin is like supposedly a white light, but or a warm white. But then 2,700 Kelvin is what I came to as what I prefer for a warmer light. So
That may be the
That's-
most common number too. 2,700 is a really easy bulb and fixture to find.
great. That did not used to be the case, so that's exciting. But so that's top of mind as well as the long-term cost savings.
Yeah.
With the return and energy usage. But then also, when you think about the labor involved with retrofitting versus just a replacement bulb,
Yeah.
or I'm sorry, with replacing the fixture versus retrofitting, the retrofitting I think is going to be way less labor, right? Just like,
These flat panels just go in just minutes.
oh,
I heard 7 to 10 per fixture.
Yeah, it's
If you
really
put in a
fast.
new one, not a retrofit or a retrofit? with-
that is the
Are we
retro-
talking about retrofit?
Okay.
Yeah.
retrofit is the panel, replacements like LED tubes, is that right?
I mean, we take everything off the ceiling and put something new in.
Ah,
So what I'm proposing, my feeling of the environment is that the large fluorescent lights that we have in the main body of the library have been really favorable and comfortable to people. So I really am not seeking to completely restructure that and create a new feeling, tone, or experience when people walk in. I would be more excited to stay with what has felt so natural and good, even though they maybe are starting to look a little dated. I think it works with the building very well. With the cans, it was different. Because the can will come out and a new one will go in. I think it will have a flat disc on the bottom. There was something about that, there was something about the description of what that is like that I really appreciated and felt it was better than trying to retrofit for this particular type of ceiling light fixture.
Okay.
But I really do appreciate your idea of like seeing it. Can I see it?
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Because it almost sounded to me like right now it's a can, and then there's the bulb inside that has the U-shaped fluorescent whatever. That it would all come out, and what would go back in, I understand it to be more like a disc, like a flat
Plate
disc.
almost. It's like, it's just a
Yeah.
flat thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Probably electrician talk is going to be really helpful before we need to be involved, eh?
Yeah, this is great feedback, thanks.
Yeah.
I think it would behoove us to do something moving forward as opposed to fixing the ballasts that we have and continuing with the fluorescent lighting being phased out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Agreed.
Okey-dokey. And is that the end of your report?
The end.
Thank you. Moves us on to communications, and that's in our packet regarding that fund balance. Any further questions there?
No.
And then new business, the microfilm reader.
Woo-hoo.
Also in our packet. And I appreciate the recommendation to stick with who we've been using, and it's the lowest one, and they give support and all that. So in my opinion, that makes a whole lot of sense. Is everyone else?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely the best bid.
Any other thoughts there else?
Do we want to wait and pursue the grant or just pay for it right now? I feel like it's the other question. Because that would be the main difference, is if we went ahead with it and paid for it out of pocket, we could do it immediately. But the grant's not available until the spring.
Not only that, but I work with an organization that, we try to get a lot of grants. And it can be such a, I hate to say it, such a pain, because you have to fulfill all these requirements, and sometimes you do, and sometimes you don't. And you have to, and you said this, I loaded this very quickly before I came, so I don't actually have that part of this packet didn't load tonight. But you said that the grant app was, or not the app, but the directions were what, how many pages?
134.
134.
Yeah, I mean, so we're talking staff time too.
Yep.
People who are trying to figure out the directions to apply for the grant when, I come in and I'm looking for a book. And we've got money in the bank. So, buy it.
It is a really good fit for the structured grant for a purchase of a microfilm reader, is the only other thing. That of those 134 pages, it breaks it out into all the different types of grants. And there is specifically a grant for purchasing microfilm
Is there?
readers. So, is it worth $10,000 to apply for a grant and delay putting it in?
I don't think so. That's my opinion. But I kind of feel like, what's that money sitting there for? We might as well spend some of it.
And this would be 215 fund money because it's capital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, we can go on a payment plan until that grant comes through.
Well, that's the other thing, and maybe it would and maybe it wouldn't.
The
Right.
That's
grant.
been my experience with grants. They're kind of
Yeah.
iffy, shall we
Right.
say.
The limitation of this grant is that you must apply and complete the process before the machinery is purchased.
Can't do it
No.
afterwards.
No.
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 I move that we go ahead with the purchase of the microphone reader as suggested.
Second that.
We have a motion and support. Further discussion here.
And just before,
Yeah, further
a
discussion,
little more
please go
discussion,
ahead. Yeah.
if you could direct also, not just the quote, direct the quote and the funding. Thanks.
Would anyone like to amend their motion?
Yes. I would like to
With the 215
use the
funds.
funding from the 215 funds and use in purchasing Mid-America Business Systems Scan Pro 3500 digital micro scanning system with packages including all the razzle dazzle
And the computer and whatever peripheral is needed.
and whatever computer and other equipment needed to have it functioning.
There you go.
And to purchase it from the vendor that you were working with.
You already said that.
So, motion's amended. Do you support the amendments?
I do.
Okay, we have a motion and support. Further discussion again. Personally, I'd wait a year for $10,000, let alone to spring. So, money is money. It's not going anywhere. We're gonna have many needs into the future coming up, for the 215 fund. We're not getting more money into the 215 fund, regularly enough for me to just be like, it's infinite. So, but that being said, I know there is a demand that we cannot print from the microfilm. So, but it is also work to do the grants. So I have a hard time balancing that as someone who, A, is not doing the work, and B, does not have that interaction with the public about the demand of the machine. So, you know, I
What
gotta.
is that demand? I mean, if you could describe it.
For
In 10
cert-
words.
In 10 words or less. Commissioner Storley is particularly invested in seeing this machine updated for the historians and the researchers in our community. This machine is used by people across the country who seek our newspaper access to learn about their family histories and things that have happened in the area. And it does create significant disappointment in people when they are completing research in the library and they get to the point where they find exactly the thing that they want. And they're told that they have to use their iPhone to take a picture of the monitor in order to capture the information because it's not able to print.
But if we waited for the grant, you could always say, in a few months, we will have bought this thing.
In less
And
than a year.
The time difference between this being almost November and spring is not very long. Is there anything else that we could, that this grant would apply for, that we could get, that we could use that grant for, that we need?
I haven't researched it in any other context.
Okay.
I've researched whether we can move forward with digitizing this collection as opposed to keeping it accessible only within the library using the microfilm machine. And it's just not feasible. The number one reason why is because we have to achieve copywriting and we're not able to do that. We've been trying since 2015.
What does that mean, to achieve copyright?
We have to get copyright permission in order to make the information available online. And so we've, especially when Steve was here, he was a huge proponent of trying to get this collection digitized, and we could not get the permissions from the various people who hold the copyright.
I'm coming around to just as far as the grant and versus the now and versus the demands. And there's no guarantee that we'd get the grant. It does look like a good fit. we do have the means, though, to go ahead and do it without any taxpayer burden, right?
Yep.
May I ask you, since I'm a new person here, the fund that you were speaking of is not library money, and it's county money?
No.
The 215 fund is composed of donations, and some have requirements for
Mhm.
what they're used for, but it's fairly loose and largely just based on library policy. So it's not levy dollars.
Okay.
It's been
But it's like, it is library money?
library money.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are some of the expenses that you see coming up that would be used for, or needs to be used for?
Yeah, well, so much of it is the unknown, but thus far, we've done it for remodeling, for staff changes, and furniture can be, and just collection updating as far as the furniture in the collection as well, but then also the heat pumps and building things. In the past, we've talked about doing solar, and I can't remember why that's not feasible. It has something to do with ownership of the power or something bizarre. But I just continually think about building
No.
requirements or facilities.
Can we not use other money for building requirements?
Well, then that would be levy dollars, and
Oh, that would be
we
levy
can,
dollars.
we can, yeah. But Amanda, you had something you wanted to.
I can talk to you a little bit about other projects that we have going on and should be thinking about. One of them is the lighting conversation that we're having. One of them is, we've had a lot of discussion, Erica and I, about needing to make changes in the children's room. For example, we have games that we would like to put in a unit that sits up high so the kids can't get into it and lose the parts before they're checked out. Also, we have wooden book shelving in there that is splintering and falling apart, and then we also have this desire to structure the books in a little bit of a different way to make it more friendly. So with all of that, I can see a larger furniture purchase for that space. But most importantly, we still have a rotunda that has bricks that are loose and needing to be addressed. The brickwork, Nancy, on the rotunda, some of it has come loose. It has
dear.
sort of a bandage on it, but that needs to be done.
And I guess it's those kinds of things that don't ever stop.
Well, no, I mean, I've been a homeowner,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I
you know,
understand
you
these
know,
things.
yeah.
I guess I'm just really confused, and I will probably come across as being very ignorant, but we've talked about the library sitting on a lot of money. That was the very first meeting I attended. What is that money that we're sitting on, and why can't it be used for some of these projects?
It is and it can,
Yep.
Okay,
yeah. The money is that 215 fund, so donations.
that is the
Yeah,
215
yeah.
fund,
It's just, we want to use it wisely, right?
Of course.
Yeah, and so that's where I'm like, well, I could wait a year if it was going to save $10,000, but then I just do think about the demands of the grant, the requirements there, and just the demands on staff. Why isn't this here yet, sort of thing, so.
I will say, I just was, the other night, this was a very simple grant, but, or not grant app that I was reviewing for this organization that I'm active in. But over the years, I have reviewed and helped write many of those, and they are very time-consuming. And probably not even as time-consuming as this one might be. And we're talking about staff time, and they do have other things to do that are actually more, shall we say, within the mission of the libraries or the community. That's my point, you know. And I'm looking at it as a purely selfish person. If I come in looking for a book or something, and, you know, they're all sitting in the back writing grants, that doesn't serve me. It doesn't serve the rest of the community.
Touche.
That's the way I look at it. Maybe that's simplistic, but
That's fair. It's very fair.
Amanda, how do you feel about the 134-page grant, the work involved?
A little overwhelmed.
Is it 134 or just 34?
134. As Sarah said, I'm sure there's some skipping around that can be done because certain areas of the application or the manual are targeted
Yeah.
towards certain types of purchases. And we have a very specific type of purchase. We're looking to support arts and culture using the Legacy Fund. How do I feel about that? Just to remind the board about the communication I shared with you as well as city councilors when, during budgeting season, that we have a very significant backlog of work that we are trying
Yes.
desperately to catch up on, as well as trying to onboard a new full-time employee to make that work move forward. And that was due to the effects of the pandemic followed by the flood and all during a time with understaffing. So for me, it will come down to like prioritization. We're also about to launch a new strategic plan, and I'm not sure how this fits in with that, but I don't have the plan and I do have the quotes.
Yeah, so capacity's not there for
No.
looking for grants, basically, is,
Fulfilling.
I think, fair to say. So I've come all the way around and then around and then around.
And then around
And
again.
now are you dizzy?
No, well, yes, but not any more so than normal.
That's right. Just the huge.
Any other thoughts? Else, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor of going with our Midwest quote, as well as allowing purchase for, what is that quote? Well, we know what the vote is.
Mid-America.
Computer and all the necessary equipment and all that, so.
And
Yeah.
it's quote number, or quote C, I believe.
Thank you. Thank you. Third.
Yeah.
All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Great, thank you. And then the other new business was,
Yeah.
I was talking to Amanda if she'd used the OWL. I don't know if you guys have used the OWL, but it's like a little canister that has a dome on top, and it has audio and visual all right there. So it has multiple cameras. It can follow whoever's talking. It can follow 3 different people at different parts of the room, and then it also does like a panoramic all at the same time.
It's crazy.
I really like, maybe most of us haven't been there for the meetings, but I really like having meetings in the library. I think it feels much more connected to the work that we're charged to do, and that's a much better ambiance. Also, this building is going to come down, and we would need a place to meet during that time. So just got me thinking that maybe we want to ask Amanda to look into the OWL. The county has a number of them that we could maybe use for a test spin or whatever, and I'll look into that. But just thought we might want to ask Amanda to look into that as far as pricing and costs are concerned, so that we can use that. We could hold our meetings at the library or anywhere for that matter, because it is just this thing you take around with a laptop. So, does anyone else have any experience with those?
Yeah.
And thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, it is very slick. It is definitely. I have no idea of the cost though. I have to
It's
say.
like $1 or $2 grand. I think $1 grand, but I'm not
Wow.
certain on that. So.
That's really reasonable. But yeah, it would be a delight to meet in the library.
Yeah, it would.
So we can say, and you can point over there. Well, that's what we're
This
talking
light
about.
right here.
Yes. Actually, that would be very helpful.
It would.
That
It
would be
would.
very helpful. Do we need to purchase our own OWL, or can we can't borrow somebody else's?
Well, I think I'll be able to get our hands on it for a trial run.
That would be
But
good.
but I don't think it would be fair to use it regularly.
Okay.
Or maybe even legal, but
I'm seeing it as $1,049 for the Generation 3 OWL.
Yeah.
what about Gen 4? Just kidding. That was a joke. So you haven't used them, Sarah?
We haven't.
Okay.
Yeah.
It just, I've had really good experiences. I'm trying to.
What was that quote?
1,049 for Gen 3.
For Generation 3 on Amazon.com. Just
Should we
looking
wait
it
for Gen
up.
4?
Is this?
It's gonna be really
just
hot.
A point of information, is this something that every now and then we have to buy new software to upgrade, or?
So Nancy, the Library Board of Trustees used to meet in the library with no technology. We showed up and we chatted and we connected in person and we went home. During the pandemic, the city invited us to come be a part of streaming and recording and creating the archives to make our meetings more accessible throughout the county. And so it's new, kind of, and we're in the city hall space as opposed to being in the library.
Do we need to make a motion?
Well, at this point, I think I'd be more comfortable if we just did a little trial first and to see.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
after that, if we want to make a motion, if we think it's a good fit or a good idea, then
Yeah.
maybe.
And we can explore prices too. There
Yeah.
might be some discounts or.
You have that
Make sure that that is what we
$1,300
need.
that was just-
You know what else is really wild that we probably wouldn't need, but it's just a neat feature, is you can do two of them parallel or serially. I don't even know. But they work together.
Ooh.
It's bananas. So.
That is
Okay,
crazy.
well, that was all for new business. Anything else trustee would like to bring up? It's not on the agenda, but we're at the end and thought I'd ask, and I'm not hearing anything, so now I'm gonna say we're adjourned.
Boom. There you go, Kevin.
At 5